Have you ever thought about taking on a really cool project because you just know that it's going to be really freaking sweet? Because that's what I've done today. Hello everybody, this is That Manga Dude, and welcome to a very, very, very big video for me. This is going to be my first ever collaboration video with various content creators. I'm so happy to be able to do this. I got eight different content creators to give people their recommendations for underrated manga that you should check out, including myself. I do have 2 entries at the end, but I will be going last. So, yeah, it's gonna be a really fun video. I'm super excited. I hope you all enjoy everybody's contributions. I think it's gonna be a really fun one. There's gonna be a lot of interesting manga that's going to be suggested. So, without further ado, I am going to send this off to Manga Alerts first.
Hey everyone, this is Manga Alerts from the Behind the Manga podcast, and I was asked to recommend a manga that's considered underrated, so here's my pick. This is Mr. Villain's Day Off by Yu Morikawa, published by Square Enix Manga and Books. So this is a story that follows our main character, who is the general of an intergalactic evil league that's set out to destroy the world, right? However, instead of getting to see that, you actually get to see what this guy does on their days off, whether that would be running to the zoo to take a look at the latest panda exhibit, or running to the grocery store to make sure they pick up the latest deals on panda exclusive groceries. Yes, this guy really likes pandas. There is an anime out right now, so if you prefer to watch it that way, you can, but I definitely highly recommend checking out Mr. Villain's Day Off.
Alright, thank you so much, Manga Alerts, for your entry. And now to our first written entry. So this one comes in from SerenaRosetail on Twitter and YouTube, and Sungbo Kingmaker Lover on Instagram. Mars by Fuyumi Soryo is about 2 teenagers in high school. The girl is named Kira and the boy is named Rei. Kira is very shy and reserved, whereas Rei is bordering on delinquent in terms of his character. One day, Rei is looking for directions to a mental clinic that he has been going to for some time and gets lost. He sees Kira drawing while sitting on a bench in a nearby park. He asks for directions and she draws a map on the opposite side of the paper she was drawing on. Rei thanks her, but notices the drawing and wants to return it. They end up meeting again in school, and she gets bold enough to ask him to model for her, and their relationship continues from there. Things are rocky for them, but you can tell as their relationship grows that they really love each other. Trigger warnings, I'm going to list them here, so in case anyone is triggered by me saying it, so I'm just going to have it written right here. But thank you so much, SerenaRosetail, for your contribution. I've never particularly read Mars, but I am very curious about checking it out. Now, on to our next video. It's going to be Elyeras.
Hey y'all, my name's Elyeras. When I heard that Manga Dude was putting out an APB for people to give underrated manga recommendations, I knew I wanted to be a part of it. The idea of opening the door for someone to experience a new series that they otherwise might not have pulled off the shelf or even known about is something that brings me a lot of joy. So I'm excited to talk with you guys for a few minutes today about some series that come to mind. And the first one is going to be a short series by Keito Gaku. It is Boys Run the Riot. Boys Run the Riot is a series that follows a transgender high school student named Rio, who experiences a considerable amount of societal prejudice, discrimination, is struggling through self-identity, friendship, and kind of what it means to pursue your dreams. It is a beautiful story that is told through the vehicle of Rio and their friend Jin starting a fashion brand. It is a stellar idea. The author is actually transgender, so it gives an air of authenticity, and you know that it is a story being told with all of the right intentions and all of the, frankly, correct information behind it. The experiences that Rio goes through are something that are relatable, whether you're in that position or not. But also for those who are transgender and have been through that, I think there's probably a little bit extra here for you. I think it's a beautiful read artistically. It's only 4 volumes, so it's a relatively short read. I found myself not realizing that when I first picked these up. So I got through volume 4 and I started looking at volume 5 and then got really sad because I was yearning for more. The stuff here is fantastic. I could not recommend it enough. You can get it at your local stores. And I hope you find some joy in it. And then second, and I know this is underrated, and this got an anime, and we just got a trailer for a movie. However, I'm gonna argue that Blue Period is still underrated as hell. And I will argue this till I'm blue in the face. Blue Period is a beautiful story written by Tsubasa Yamaguchi, centering around our main character, Yatora Yaguchi, who is a high school student who feels aimless and disconnected from everything and doesn't really take pleasure in a lot of things. Very much a going through the motions kind of character, until he stumbles across a painting done by one of his classmates. And I like to think of the idea of, as he sees this, the sound effect from when you open a chest in Zelda went off. And so following that, he goes out and starts trying to pursue art, and seriously and professionally. He goes on this basically mission to get into the most prestigious art university in Japan, which is a hard task even if you've already devoted your entire life up to that point to getting in. The artwork is beautiful in this, as you would expect from an art manga. The reproductions of famous works are done fantastically. The writing is phenomenal. The characters are all engaging, not just our main characters. All of the side characters each come across like, oh, I want to know more about them. I want to know what their journey looks like. This will make you cry. It is an emotional read. It hurts, but it is so worth it. If you have ever been into art, if you've ever been an artist, if you've ever had a passion that you didn't know that you could actually go through and fulfill or chase after, read this manga. Read Blue Period. I promise you will not regret it. There are currently 14 volumes out currently. All very accessible at your local bookstores. It's still very, very much in print. Go check it out. Thank me later. Back to you.
Thank you, Elyeras, for your contribution. Really appreciate it. Got some good manga recommendations, hopefully. Going into next one. This is another written one, and this is from Orange Kryptonite on Twitter. We have ourselves 3 series, actually. So first is going to be Wandering Islands by Kenji Surata. So, an absolutely intriguing story. Think of Castle in the Sky by Studio Ghibli, and add more layers of mystery and tension all within the first volume itself. This is in addition to some beautiful artwork that elevates the story even more. I recommend this for anyone looking for an interesting adventure. Number 2, Blank Canvas by Akiko Higashimura. Higashimura is the queen of self-deprecating humor, an absolute legend. This story is a retelling of her origins as a manga artist. A very realistic and inspiring story of pursuing your passion, even if you're not good at studies. It is filled with very funny and heartfelt moments that is bound to inspire you and to pursue your interests. And last but not least, Usotoki Rhetoric by Ritsu Miyako. It is a wonderful story of a girl who can hear lies, who teams up with an extremely smart and lazy detective. This one has some gripping mysteries that will constantly keep you at the edge of your seat. Oh, and I'd like to mention the girl in the story is an absolute gem, one of the kindest characters you'll ever come across. The story constantly keeps you invested and leaves you with a desire to keep on reading to learn more about our interesting duo. So, thank you so much, Orange Kryptonite. Great choices. And now, let's send it on over to Luden.
Hi, my name is Luden, and some people might know me as that guy that won't stop talking about Shaman King. So that's exactly what I'm here to talk about, and why I think the series is a bit underrated nowadays. So let's start with a real quick synopsis and an info dump surrounding the series. Shaman King is a manga series written and illustrated by Hiroyuki Takei, first published in the year of 1998 in Shonen Jump, spanning over a total of 300 chapters. In the series, every 500 years, shamans all over the world battle each other in a great tournament to decide the titular Shaman King, who is supposed to bring balance between the world of the living and the dead. In the series, we follow Yo, a talented but somewhat lazy young shaman who dreams of that title. While I don't think Shaman King is a series that nobody knows about, I still think, especially for newer manga readers, it's a battle shonen that falls a bit under the radar nowadays, despite being on the similar level as other series serialized around that time, which is exactly one of the biggest problems the series faced. Unfortunately, Shaman King released during what I would call the golden era of Shonen Jump, alongside titles like One Piece, Bleach, Naruto, Gintama, Yu-Gi-Oh!, Hunter x Hunter, and JoJo's, just to name a few examples. And that resulted in Shaman King just not getting as popular as many of the other big hitters around that time, especially because it's in its premise relatively similar to other series. But what makes it different from other series and still worth checking out, and why should you read it? Well, one of the biggest reasons is Yo Asakura as protagonist. Yo is the heart of Shaman King's story and therefore one of its strongest assets, while being very much in line with other shonen protagonists from around the time in terms of his goal. He still stands out mostly because he's probably the most chill guy around, and the unique way he interacts with the world and characters around him in a very kind-hearted but still always somewhat aloof way makes him both really enjoyable to watch, but also makes him very intriguing to learn more about him and how he thinks as the series goes on. Pair that with his often somewhat philosophical nature, and you have a great protagonist who's not only very fun to watch, but also gives you a lot of food for thought every once in a while, which I'm personally a big fan of, and it even made me integrate some of his philosophy into my own life. But we can't stop talking about characters without talking about How, the big bad of the series. How as an antagonist often walks that very thin line between being oddly relatable and understandable and killing innocent people just to prove a point. His motives make a lot of sense once you learn about them, and he always feels like a force of nature within the story. He manages to stay a threat right from his introduction until the very end. His very charismatic, often funny and somewhat sarcastic side of his character, contrasted against his calm and calculated actions, elevate him into a phenomenal villain that's on a different level than Yo, but on a similar scale, really interesting to watch. Shaman King's cast in general is one of the greatest strengths. It's filled with a great and diverse set of characters, all unique in terms of their design and personality. And all of the characters in the cast, main cast at least get explored a lot in terms of their backstory, their goals and motivations, while also being well utilized throughout the entire runtime of the story. Nobody feels really left behind. Some of my personal standout favorite examples include Anna, Yo's fiance, who complements Yo's more carefree attitude with a more serious attitude quite well, and it really gives a nice contrast between the two. In general, she's one of the strongest female leads I've ever seen in the series. Another standout is Ren, whose fantastic execution of the rival archetype makes him just unforgettable for me. But I really don't want to take away too much surrounding the characters in general, because, as I said, it's the greatest strength of the series, and I want you to discover and explore the characters yourself, because otherwise, where's the fun? Another highlight about Shaman King I specifically have to point out is its art style. I mean, you can see it on the cover. While starting out in a very charming but more cartoony art style, similar to One Piece starting days, Takei evolves his style into something completely unique and hard to compare to anything else. It's just really gorgeous. Mainly in the latter half of the series, the style shines with its almost minimalistic art style, with very sharp and precise line work and sharp edges, accentuating the already great character designs, making them really pop constantly and look great during group shots or fight scenes. The art style manages to capture the essence of older 90s and 2000 manga while also managing to still look very modern even today. Finally, without saying too much about the series and just giving you a bit snippet so you can explore the series for yourself, if you're a fan of Battle Shonen, I really want you to try and give Shaman King a chance. While the start of the story might be a bit slow for some people before it really picks up the pace, it still shines with its great characters, through which you will explore themes of loneliness, grief, selfishness, selflessness, and most importantly, love. And the sentiment that even if things may seem grim, it will still work out somehow.
Thank you, Luden. You chose my favorite series of all time for the underrated one, and I agree. Now, going on to our final written one, we have ourselves from Mangia Manga. I think that's how you pronounce it. I'm so sorry if I said it incorrectly, but he writes in, I was going to do more research, but decided to go with my gut. My number one underrated manga would be To Your Eternity. The first volume has stuck with me and had such an emotional impact. It may have been the best first book of a series I've ever read. I've read only a few more volumes, but from what I could tell, Fushi learns from inhabiting the most beautifully tragic characters. The story's emotional beats are a trademark of the mangaka, who also created a silent voice. My honorable mention would be Alpi the Soul Sender. I think that's how you pronounce it. I've only read the first volume, but the world is expertly crafted around the magic. I'm excited to see what's next in the series as we follow Alpi send the soul of dead spirits to their resting place. The important piece is that magic should have a cost. Alpi has to sacrifice a lot of herself to perform her job. If you like Furiren, this could be a good companion piece on your shelf. Also, Alpi is from Titan Manga, so support smaller publishers. Thank you, Mangia Manga. I have actually not read either of those, so I guess I'm going to have to do that in the near future. Now, to send it on over to our next video/audio, we have ourselves Nick from AniEssays.
Hi, this is Nick, the creator of the channel AniEssays. The first title I want to recommend is Kakaishi. Kakaishi serialized in Shonen Jump from 2003 to 2011 and follows the children of rival families of Kekai, or barrier magic users, who must defend their school from the spirits drawn to the sacred land on which it was built. The start of Kakaishi is reminiscent of early Bleach, as it follows delinquent high schoolers in a Ghost of the Week format. The series offers a great mix of slapstick humor, especially with family politics, and clever, satisfying action. I particularly like the magic system, which revolves around techniques meant to capture spirits. It is also a series that has a justified length, starting out episodic to later getting into a pretty rich and interesting lore. Kakaishi has all the elements that makes shonen battle series so popular. It just lived in the shadow of the big three, halting it from reaching a truly mass audience. For anyone who likes 2000s shonen anime, this is a must-read. The second manga I want to recommend is Beast Children. Beast Children is a rugby manga that is only 3 volumes long. While it was cut a bit short after getting the axe from Shonen Jump, I still think this manga has a lot to offer. Rugby is a brutal and interesting sport, and Beast Children depicts that clearly in only 27 chapters. I think there's a lot of value in revisiting promising manga that didn't get double-digit volumes because of how difficult the Shonen Jump life cycle is. What I love most about Beast Children is how it slowly introduces you to the game, and even with its short length, you get enough to show what makes rugby an interesting sport. If you're looking for a quick fix of sports manga, then please give this one a try.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Nick. I appreciate your suggestions. We have, last but not least, before we get to my suggestions, we have Suki Notes with 2.
Hello, my name is Eva, or Tsuki Notes, and thank you to that manga dude for having me on to talk about some series that I think are underrated or I think need some more love from the community. And the first title I'm going to talk about is Hina Matsuri. This is an action comedy series that has 19 volumes total, and this series just has a ton of aspects that I love. The basic premise is that there's this guy, he's in the Yakuza, kind of, rough around the edges, no nonsense. And one day, this girl literally crash lands in his house. She's from another planet, and she has these powers where she can, move stuff with her mind, and he ends up having to take care of her. So they end up in a lot of ridiculous situations. She helps him out with his Yakuza work, There's other characters from this other planet that she's from. You meet kind of his coworkers in the underworld scene, and it's all around a good time. The best part of this manga is the action and the comedy, but also it has really good found family aspects. I love the relationship between the main characters. I think if you like something like Spy Family, you would really like this. It kind of has that same dynamic. So yeah, I hope a lot more people check out the series. It's one of my favorites that I don't hear a lot of people talking about, but it's great. And the next series I wanted to talk about is Silver Spoon, complete at 15 volumes. This one is a slice of life kind of coming of age tale about this boy who is starting high school, and he decides to kind of start fresh in the countryside. He goes to this agricultural high school, even though he knows nothing about agriculture. He just wants to get away from the city and his family and start fresh. And the story definitely focuses on him kind of coming into his own, learning about the agriculture industry, discovering his passion and kind of the direction he wants to go in life. Most of the other kids at the school are from like agriculture families. They're training to like take over their parents' business or expand it. And as someone who comes from kind of a more rural area, I found this manga really relatable. And this mangaka is obviously most famous for Fullmetal Alchemist, but from her author's notes, Silver Spoon is a very personal story in relation to her background. So yeah, I feel like this story gets a little bit overshadowed by her other works sometimes, but if you're looking for something slice of life, coming of age, there's some romance, school life aspects, I definitely think you should check out Silver Spoon. I will warn though that it's a little graphic in some parts about, you know, animals being raised for food and stuff like that, so if that makes you uncomfortable, I would stay away, but the educational aspects of this manga are also really great in my opinion. So yeah, those are my picks on some series I wanted to shed more light on, and I hope you enjoy them if you decide to check them out.
All right, thank you so much, Tsukki Notes, for your suggestions. Now, we're going in to my recommendations. So I have two, and it's going to be interesting because I feel like one of them is very obvious if you've been watching my channel for a while, and the other one, well, might take you for a little bit of a surprise. So my first one is going to be Go With the Clouds, North by Northwest. So let me give you a short synopsis because that's what everyone else in the video has done, and I usually don't, but I probably should, to be honest. So thank you for helping me out with that, guys. But Kei Miyama, guy here on the front, he's a Japanese teenager living in Iceland with his grandfather. He's basically kind of like a task man? I don't know, not task man, what a goofy thing. But basically he's like an investigator. So if someone needs something to be found or someone needs something to happen, he is going to be able to go and do that. So it's got an pretty interesting premise just in general because it's a Japanese man living in Iceland. So we get to see the beautiful Iceland countryside, and wow, honestly, one of the first things that stands out about it, even just from the cover, the art is absolutely gorgeous. There are so many beautiful moments throughout this entire manga, just great art across the board. Really just overall fantastic art. There's so much you could say about it. Backgrounds are beautiful. The character designs are pretty solid across the board. You can tell there's been a lot of research into Icelandic culture, which is always awesome. But I think what also blows me away about this particular story is the way that it tackles the mix between kind of like the day-to-day life while also the overarching narrative as it moves throughout the story. So we get a lot of like kind of like snippets of just things that are going on, whether it's like him taking a trip with his friend across the Icelandic countryside, or whether he's doing more research into his missing brother. Yeah, there's a lot to it, and it's got an interesting mystery. There's some kind of supernatural elements to it, which is also really great. So overall, I think it's a fantastic series, and currently 6 volumes. I think there's going to be a 7th out in English at some point, but definitely worth checking out, and I think extremely underrated. And second, this is the obvious one for everyone who's been watching my channel, it's gotta be Wand Dance. Okay, so Wand Dance follows a story about a boy named Kabaku, who's this guy in the front, who's very quiet. He has kind of a stutter. He struggles to really open up to a lot of people, and he gets taken advantage of in a lot of ways because he tends to be a yes man, kind of just goes with the flow, until he meets a girl named Wanda, as the name suggests, who is a dancer, and she's just totally herself. She's totally in tune with herself. People call her kind of weird, kind of like strange, but she's always practicing dancing. So he gets inspired to want to do dancing himself. So he finds out how to join a dance club, and he enters a world that he is completely unfamiliar with, but becomes accustomed to very quickly. And it's such a fun, fantastic manga. I love this manga so much. It's so good. Probably one of my favorites that's currently releasing. It's just overall, it's got really dynamic and really interesting art, just across the board, especially during the dancing sections. I love the character development throughout the entire series, at least for what we have up to volume 9 now, which is crazy to say. All the characters are great. I think the storytelling is great. I think the themes are pretty substantial and actually are well incorporated within the story. I feel like there are series that will try to do that same kind of thing of like trying to find yourself, self-realization, growth, and kind of just shoehorn them in, or they're not as like interesting. It's kind of just like, oh, I just get better. But like what's so interesting about this one particularly is that because of his stutter and because he struggles to communicate, dancing is his way of expressing himself, and I really love that. And I just love, I just love this manga so much. So if you're talking about underrated manga, Wand Dance is definitely my second suggestion for anybody who's looking for an underrated manga to read. And that is going to be it for the collab video. Thank you so much to everybody who submitted content, whether it was audio, whether it was a video, or whether it was just text. Thank you so much. You all are amazing. You made this video happen. I could have done this video, I guess, by myself, but like it's nowhere near as fun. Especially when you get to hear different people's opinions, different people's perspectives about all the amazing manga out there, because I can't read everything, even if I tried, and it's just so amazing to have so many awesome content creators who are willing to take the time to create all of that content, and to be able to be in this video. So thank you so much to all of them. I'm going to be putting all of their handles, all of their YouTubes, or everything else in the comments below, so please be sure to check them out, because they are amazing, and they help this channel run. Or at least help this video run, that's for sure. So you know what to do. You can like, you can comment, you can subscribe. Those are all amazing things. I really appreciate it when you do those amazing, wonderful things. And you can also join the membership as well. You can get these videos just a little bit early in comparison to other people for the low price of $1.99. But of course, you can support me however you like. Like, comment, and subscribing is always just amazing. Just watching the video in general, amazing. So thank you specifically to Rexy Lee for continuing to be a member. You are awesome. And that's gonna be it for the collab video. Oh, I can't believe it. Like, I'm kind of shaking. I'm like having a hard time getting through this ending part. But once again, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.